Years ago, we welcomed our next speaker here at the forum, and he discussed how the 3DEXPERIENCE platform was going to help transform his business. So I'm delighted to have Vaseem Khan come back and talk about the results of the implementation of the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. So please welcome Vaseem Khan, Vice President, Global Engineering at McDermott. Vaseem?
Thank you very much. So, good morning, everybody. So, Las Vegas, an interesting choice of venues. You know, I'm just wondering, on the journey from the room to the conference here, Bernard, how many people do you think we lost? Right. Yeah, I actually had breakfast with some of your team members, and I asked them, does Dassault, for all the hard work you've done this year, does Dassault give you a $100 allowance, you know, to use on the one-armed bandits? And the reply was, no. Dassault wouldn't do that. However, if we do win something, they'll probably take a share of the earnings. So, to business. We could skip that. So when I was when I was in Florida about a year and a half ago, McDermott was a much smaller company than it is today. Exactly a year ago, this week a year ago, we merged with another company called CB&I, also Houston-based, and as a result of which we are now 40,000 people. We have a revenue of about $10 billion. We have a backlog of $15 billion. So very much like NXP, which Chris just talked about, with one very small exception. Whereas Chris's companies make things this big, we make things the size of this hotel and bigger. So what does McDermott do? What is McDermott? We are Houston-based. We're a 125-year-old company, and we are in the oil and gas services projects business. So we make large refineries, we make LNG plants, we make offshore platforms, and so on. So what we do is very large, very complex, and unfortunately, probably not very sustainable. But you know, we'll try and avoid talking about sustainability, at least for the next 20 minutes. So let me give you some background. So new technologies, unlike Uber, unlike Google, the market wants that if we introduce a new technology into our business, what's the return on the investment? What's the benefit of technology from the industry? Why can't we keep doing what we have been doing for the last 100 years and keep doing it the same way? It's experience, it works. So this is why we can't do this. The numbers I'm going to show you, the numbers you see behind me here, these aren't our numbers. These are from an Ernst & Young report and from an IPA report, which is public information. So what this says is that projects over $1 billion, and as you can see from the bottom of the screen, there are a lot of those projects. Typically, 2/3 of the projects do not complete in their budget, and 3/4 are delayed. IPA statistics, 8 out of 10 projects are late and or over budget. So by any parameter, a very, very poor performance. Compounded by the size of the projects we execute. What you see are the top 4 projects, oil and gas projects, which have been executed over the last decade or so. And the numbers are mind-boggling. The Kashagan project in Kazakhstan, $150 billion. Ichthys LNG in Australia, $55 billion. Shell has just started in Canada a new LNG project in British Columbia. They estimate at $30 billion. So big numbers. Compare that to, well, let's reference that. Let's benchmark it to something which is tangible for most of us. Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world in Dubai, was built over a decade ago now, and it cost $1.5 billion to build. The Freedom Tower in New York a few years ago cost $4 billion to build. So as you can see, the size of the projects we do are extremely large, So the stake of getting these things right is extremely high. So just imagine if I could save 5% from a $100 billion project, if I could save 2.5% from a $100 billion project, I've saved $2.5 billion. I could build a Burj Khalifa with that 2.5% saving on a large project. So why do projects not go right? What is it about oil and gas projects which make them so vulnerable to cost and budget overruns? Again, this is E&Y data. If you Google E&Y, oil and gas 2014, it's public information, it'll show up. These are the top 5 reasons, but if you concentrate on 2 of them, project development, this is how you conceive a project, how you engineer a project, and then project delivery, which is how you actually build a project, are 2 of the key reasons projects go wrong. And it's all about information. So as projects become more complex, as they're engineered in multiple places around the world, we've got hundreds of suppliers, we've got scores of subcontractors. When the Qatari LNG projects were being built back in 2002, 2006, the staffing level at site was 70,000 people. There were 70,000 people working on the Qatari projects a decade ago. The population of Qatar a decade ago was less than 1 million. So you can imagine the scale of what we're trying to do. Mega projects have lost the industry $500 billion over the last decade or so. And you can probably tell from the picture I've got up there, why is that? It's because projects historically have been executed in silos. We have engineering, we have supply chain, we have fabrication or construction, and we have commissioning. That's how we operate. And each of these silos believes that they are the reason that a project actually exists. The engineers believe the only reason that we want to produce LNG to export to China or Japan is so we can engineer the plant. And everyone else is inconsequential in all of this. So, we need to break the silos. At McDermott, what is our objective? So every objective has a strategy. What is our objective? Our objective, put very simply, is delivery assurance. How do we deliver the $5 billion, the $10 billion projects on time and on budget? And why do we want to do that? Because we believe that will be a competitive advantage for us. So what is our strategy? Build a digital twin. Lucia and Chris both talked about digital twins. Digital twin, it's a digital manifestation of the physical asset. So build a digital twin, and absolutely essential, we build a digital work stream. So the work stream doesn't recognize silos. A pump that you're buying doesn't recognize that it's been engineered in Mumbai, it is being procured out of our Dubai office, is being manufactured in the US, and it will be commissioned in the Persian Gulf. A pump doesn't recognize that. So a work stream will not recognize that either. So what we need is a digital twin, a digital work stream. And we have now designed, or we are in the process of designing our work processes around the various components of the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. And we use every one of these components to build a digital work stream, which in a way is actually even more important during the design and implementation phase than the actual digital twin. So, silos. So this is our vision. This is what we're doing. This is Gemini XD is what our name for the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. And as I said, it's using every component that Dassault Systèmes has to offer. So what you see surrounding it are the present silos. And let's be realistic. These silos are not going to go away in a hurry. It's because that's how people think. You know, we are very tribal. Is that we are engineers, we are procurement, we are construction people. That's not going to change. That's how we are. But if we can take information from these silos from these buckets, and we can take data from these buckets, and we can agglomerate this data. We can ensure that this data sits in a central repository of information, the single source of truth, and that anything that goes out of that into another silo comes out of the Gemini bucket, the big bucket which has the single source of truth. We can, to basically, on a virtual workflow process, eliminate these silos. So what are we trying to do? From project management, planning, cost control, engineering, anything which is essential will go into the central engine, let's say, our workstream engine. And this is not something which we are trying to do or envision to do. This is what we're doing now. So what you are seeing now, the video that's running behind me, is the actual work stream that we are following. So this gives everybody on the project, or everyone who's not on the project, and this is us, this is the client, this is our vendors, our subcontractors, our CEO, real-time, an absolute real-time view of the world. So if you want to know what is the progress last Tuesday on a project, you have it available in a single place. If you want to know what is the progress on mechanical engineering on a project, you have it available on a single place. What is late? What is on the critical path? What do I have to do differently to achieve my end date? Where am I going to have a budget overrun? Where am I trending to have a budget overrun? Is there a specific discipline which is holding up progress of other disciplines? All of this information today is available to us on a single platform. As you can see, this platform is the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. We have configured it, and I want to use the word configure rather than customized, because one of the banes of the oil and gas industry is we have this nasty habit of customizing everything. I think it was Lucia who was saying is that what we absolutely don't want to do is take a bad work process and digitize it, right? Because it seems really good, right? We've just digitized a process, but we need to digitize the good processes. So this, what you see today, it exists today. What you're looking at is what we are actually doing on our projects today. Two big areas, just to deep dive into this, two big areas of what we're doing. Report visualization. One of the core reasons for cost overruns on these big oil and gas projects is lack of good information. If we don't have good information, we can't make good decisions. So what we call quality decision making. So decision quality is essential to keep the budget and to keep the schedule. So if we can have real-time or near real-time data on every aspect of the project, and that's not just what we are doing on the project, but that is what the subcontractors are doing. That is what our vendors are doing. So I need to know that if Rolls-Royce or Siemens is supplying us a compressor, what is the manufacturing status of that compressor? That information should not be living in a different bucket. That information lives in the same bucket that we have all of our other project information. On your right-hand side is how we do the report visualization. 3D. You know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. A 3D model is probably worth 1,000,000 words. So rather than looking at reports to try and decipher where are we, what is the problem, the human brain reacts, in our opinion, reacts much better or analyzes much better 3D visualization. So what do? We take our 3D models. They can be in any format that the client decides. We import it into CATIA. And then we use that to color visualize status. So that can be, for example, in the procurement mode, it could be something, the pump's been ordered, the pump's under manufacturing, the pump's under testing, the pump's being delivered. In construction mode, same model. You peel away a layer, the onion layer, and you put it in construction mode. The pump's in the warehouse, the pump's being installed, the pump's being hydro-tested, the pump's being commissioned and handed over to the client. So what we're trying to do, and this is work in progress, whereas the reporting part is something we've implemented, the visualization part is work in progress, is allow the 3D model to give everybody, again, single source of truth, to give everybody the visual status report. Is it delivered? Is it commissioned? And so on. Moving to the next part of what we're trying to do. So this is a slide that those who were there 2 years ago would have seen as well. So what I talked about is what we want to do during the project delivery phase. We want to bring decision quality and delivery assurance to the projects we do. The struggle we have is that how do we convince the CFOs of the world that please give us $20 million, $30 million, because, Bernard's company is not cheap, we all know that. But please give us the money we need to implement this software so we can prevent overruns. Because when you plan a project, you never plan to finish late. You never plan to finish over budget. So the business case is our biggest challenge right now. The second biggest challenge is people, is culture. In the oil and gas industry, we've been used to doing things a certain way for many, many years, well on a century now. And to change how we do things is to say that we will no longer have engineering, procurement. We will now have a work process which goes from one end to the other end. It's not an engineering work process. It's not a procurement work process. It's not a construction work process. It's a work process to get to the end in mind, the end result. So how do we do that? That's our biggest challenge. Next challenge is how do we take all the hard work we've done during the project design and construction phase and use it in the project operations phase. So we've delivered to the client a true digital twin. All of the information that is ever required to maintain and operate is on that digital twin. You don't need any documentation, you don't need any CDs, any USBs. It's all embedded in that digital twin. Pull that digital twin up and you will have all the information you need. The next step, which is actually technically a relatively easy step, is to then bring real-time data into the same digital twin. So real-time data regarding the flow on a pipe, real-time data regarding vibration on a pump, real-time data regarding corrosion on an elbow. All of that information is technically relatively simple to do today. At that stage, the platform becomes a platform for operations and maintenance enhancement. Again, what are our biggest challenges in operations and maintenance? The biggest challenges we have is finding information. The maintenance information lives in Maximo. The operation information lives in the various historians. You then have other software packages which try and extract information. So what we say is we go to the root. We get real-time data, either through the DCS, the control system, or through the historian, and we use that to, again, visually, I emphasize the point, visually improve maintenance and operation. So what do I mean by visually improve? If I can show on the 3D model which parts of the facility are likely to corrode faster than other parts by using real-time data, by using physics, which is what I know a fluid behaves right, and using other process packages, software packages, which sit on the platform. It's like an app on your Apple iPhone. If I can use that data, I can then improve the performance of an operating facility. So again, end to end. But the end I'm talking about is not handover of the project, it is decommissioning of the facility. So in our vision, we see the platform being used from conception, which is when you first think of a project and build a very basic advanced process simulation digital twin, which is just take the P&IDs and create a model out of that. It's like a skeleton of the human body before you add the organs, before you add the flesh and so on. And then take it to the end, the decommissioning. So what are we trying to do? Just as a quick wrap up. So 3 things to remember. What does using a digital platform, the 3D experience platform, foster? It fosters transparency, it fosters accuracy, and it fosters timeliness. By timeliness, make a decision on time. You have the information available to make that decision in real time. Again, a 3D model built on the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. Lean, and we talked about lean in the earlier presentations as well. So the ability to make decisions in a timely manner is lean engineering. What do we want? On time, on budget delivery of large projects. Thank you very much.